Hello and welcome to the Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely, and with me today is Dragana Trifković, who is the director of the Center for Geostrategic Studies in Belgrade, and she's a first-time guest, and so you're very welcome, Dragana. Thank you for joining us. So before we talk about Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina and the future of security in Europe, the kind of things that our audience is very much interested in. Perhaps you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, the center, and your work.
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's my pleasure. I lead the Center for Geostrategic Studies, which is based in Serbia, already 10 years. And we have a lot of experts from different countries. We have now about 60 colleagues from Europe, from Russia, China, India, America, Brazil, and so on. And our idea was to create this kind of international platform where we can discuss totally freely with open mind, and we have also the colleagues who are pro-European, who are Eurosceptics, and so on. So the idea was to freely work and speak without any censorship. So I think we succeed in this field, and we have experts on different topics like military experts, economic experts, ecologically experts, and so on.
Dragana, does the current government, I say current, it's actually been there for some time, does the government give you problems? Have you had any problems with the government?
Well, we don't have any support, first of all. We are self-financing our work practically. We don't have any support for foreign funds as well, but it's not too much necessary for us, because in that case, when you agree to work for someone, they already have some topics like green energy or, I don't know, LGBT or something like this, so we don't want this. And we have, of course, the problems, not only with our government. We have we have been attacked on the different mainstream medias and etiqueted that we are foreign agents or Kremlin agents or Iranian agents, because I personally support Palestine a lot. So this is, I think, the same story like in all other countries. We have a global problem with this deep state, or however we call these global structures.
Okay, so all right, let's then talk a little bit about what's going on in Serbia. So let me just make a very general point, which is something that I don't fully understand, which is, I mean, here is your president, Aleksandar Vučić, whose avowed policy, it's policy that he has repeated many, many times, which is that Serbia is to join the European Union, Serbia is to join the European structures, while at the same time, he knows that the only condition under which Serbia can possibly join the European Union and the European structures is if Serbia does two things, which is Serbia disavows Russia, joins the EU sanctions regime against Russia. That's one thing. And second thing is, of course, is that Serbia recognizes the independence of Kosovo. Now, Vučić has repeatedly said that he will do neither of those. So how can he pursue these two policies? I mean, you know, anyone can see that they're obviously in complete contradiction with one another. So how do you explain this, Dragana?
Yes, you are totally right. This is very confused because on the other one hand, we are all the time, I mean, our government, our authorities all the time are repeating that our strategic goal is to join the EU. And at the same time, they are talking that they don't want to recognize Kosovo like an independent country, and also they don't want to join this anti-Russian regime of sanctions. So I always keep in my mind that I like this sense. It's res non verba. Words don't mean anything if you don't work on some topic. And we have a problem with our policy in Serbia, that is our authorities are speaking one thing and doing the other thing. So it's very confused to explain. I can say that now in this moment, unfortunately, we don't control our south province, Kosovo. Because of our policy, our government signed three main agreements with US and the EU, which they are based on this policy of agreeing with what EU and US want. And as we all know, the independence, so we call independence Kosovo, is the US project. That is why we don't control anything now in this moment at Kosovo and Metohija. We agreed that we have now border between Kosovo and the rest of Serbia. It's classical border. That was also agreed in the 2013. The name of this agreement is Brussels Agreements. After this, in 2020, I think, our president signed the Washington Agreement with the Trump in that time, and also agreed on some things that are very against our constitution, against our interest, the state interest and the people's interest. And the third agreement is the so-called French-German agreement, or Ohrid agreement. So factically, he didn't sign this agreement, but the West don't need to sign. They think if he agreed, that is enough, and that is all according.
Sorry to interrupt. Could you just tell us what is the Ohrid agreement? What does that amount to?
Oh, in agreement there this very specially that defined the sentence that can be explained in the different ways, but if we speak with some lawyer, for example, it's enough to understand that factically Serbia recognized the territorial integrity of Kosovo, also the national symbols like flag and so on. And as I know, it means that we agreed on the independence of Kosovo, but we didn't sign. So it's enough for our government to tell us that they didn't agree because they didn't sign. And on the other hand, the US and the EU considers that we already recognized Kosovo. But as you said already, if we are continuing with this policy of European integration, it is clearly that we need to recognize independence of Kosovo and also to impose the sanctions on Russia, because in this moment they integrated these two definitions in the process of European integrations. Chapter 35, it's that it means that we need to improve our foreign policy, and also on this Kosovo recognition, it's also integrated in the process of European integrations of Serbia. So factically, we don't have anything to choose if we are continuing with this policy of European integration of Serbia. And I want to mention also that I think the last was about 35% of support of Serbian people for European integration. I mean, there is more people they don't want to integrate in the European Union that they support.
Right. Now, what is the situation with the border? Because I think it's a little confusing. Is it the case that now the Serbs residents of Kosovo have to use Kosovo license plates on their cars, or what? Because there've been a number of going backwards and forwards on that. Could you just explain what's the situation with the border and with the license plates?
Yes, this is also which our government and our president, Alexander Vučić, agreed. So they now, if they want to go by a car, for example, from Kosovo, from Kosovska Mitrovica to Belgrade, to central Serbia, they need to have not only driver license of Kosovo, independence Kosovo, but also all other documents, because they cannot finish the registration and everything what is necessary without these documents. So I mean, that means that our government is pushing Serbians who live in the Kosovo to agree and to have these documents of independence Kosovo. This is the problem. And on the other hand, Serbia agreed to allow this one of, Albanians from Kosovo, they can freely come to Serbia with the documents of independence Kosovo. That was also agreed. So we have a difficult situation because our citizens, Serbian citizens, cannot come to Belgrade from Kosovo with the documents of Serbia, but Albanians can come with the documents of independence Kosovo. This is the situation now.
So Vučić has essentially then surrendered. I mean, he basically has surrendered on this issue to Kurti, to the Kosovo prime minister. In other words, basically in that confrontation, Vučić has essentially surrendered his position.
Yes, I think so. And this is what we don't like at all, because he's not protecting, in the first hand, our constitution, because when he became the president, he agreed to protect our constitution. It's the basic of the presidential mandate. So he's not doing that, unfortunately. And all the time, of course, the US and the EU, they are pushing Serbia, but it's not reason for us to give up and to agree on this, because we all know how this project of independence Kosovo started by bombing Serbia in 1999. And all after this, what was happening was against the international law. And we have the Serbian constitution and as well the resolution 1244, which recognized Kosovo as the part of Serbia. But the problem was for US, they couldn't finish this project of independence Kosovo because of Russian veto in the UN Security Council. And then they decided to go on the other way. And also, if you read WikiLeaks, there is the moment that West, they were thinking we need to get on power these so-called patriotic structures, and they need to finish this Kosovo independence project. Because before the Vučić and Serbian Progressive Party, we had democratic parties on power, which were openly pro-Western, but they couldn't realize everything what realized the Vučić, because the people were very aware of what they were doing. And then the West decided to change the authorities and bring to power so-called patriotic structures. And people in that time think, okay, now we can relax because they will not surrender us. But it is reality.
I just want to emphasize this point, because what you just said is really, really important. Vučić has gone much further than the
Yes.
who preceded him, Tadic and Jeremic and those people. He's gone much further because he seems like a patriotic. He worked for Milosevic. He was with Šešelj, so therefore you can trust him to look after Serbian interests. And in fact, he's gone much further, betraying Serbian interests than Tadic or Jeremic or any of those other people would have done.
Yes, exactly. I'm saying this because, in 2012, when Tadic was the president of Serbia, Angela Merkel came to visit Serbia and they had a meeting in Belgrade. So she had one offer for him. And she wanted that he agreed on this Serbia needs to destroy all institutions of state in territory of Kosovo. So Tadic said at that time, no, I cannot do this. I will not do this. I cannot do this, and I cannot agree. So in that moment, he find out that he lose the power, and after this we had the elections in the late 2012. And then President Vučić and Nikolić in that time, they get the power. And I think they already agreed, the West, because the West supported them, and they wanted even the Brussels before the end of the elections, presidential elections, they congratulations to Nikolić and his victory, but we didn't finish elections before this. So I think that was planned, and if you read the WikiLeaks, you can also find logically that also that was agreed, and that was the Western plan how they could finish this project, because democratic structures didn't go so far.
So there's also been speculation, and I don't know whether you've probably heard. I just wonder what you think, that the Western powers have something on Vučić. They have, they can blackmail him and they can extort him. Usually that means something criminal. They know something about various corrupt activities and so on. So at any time, they can really, lower the hammer on Vučić, indict him for something. You can do it now. Berlin can indict him, Brussels can indict him for something. So there's always that possibility. The hanging over Vučić. What do you think of that idea?
Yes. Again, I totally agree with you, because it's the same pattern, like they are working everywhere on the same pattern. If you compare, for example, Ukraine, they also supported very corrupted people and people who are involved in the criminal activities and so on. So they allowed them, in the fact, to do this, and at the same time they were collecting the evidence, and now they are blackmailing the people. So they are doing this in I think many countries, and in Serbia as well. And there are the evidence that our government, and especially Vučić, is involved in some criminal activities, that he has some criminal connections. There was some application, the name was Sky, which they have all the what was written in this application, and it was between some criminals who are now have in charge, and between our government structures. And also there is a story of one our politician from Kosovo was killed. His name is Oliver Ivanović. Yep. He was the oppositioner, and there are some also evidence that someone from government is involved in this. So yes, I think this is also the reason, because even if they want to change their positions and to say, okay, we don't want now European integrations anymore, we don't want to recognize Kosovo and so on, they cannot do this in the fact because they are blackmailed.
Right. So let's just move on to Bosnia and Herzegovina, where there also seems to be a a crisis. I mean, it's been going on for some time. It's highlighted by the this recent Srebrenica resolution that you recorded a video, I recorded a video. It was clearly in violation of the Constitution of Bosnia-Herzegovina, and of course of the Dayton Accords, where there is supposed to be unanimity among the three nations of Bosnia-Herzegovina when there are matters of foreign policy involved. Clearly, this was done entirely at the behest of the Bosniaks, or the Muslim nation. So, and then, of course, now Milorad Dodik, the president of the Republika Srpska, he often makes these threats that he's going to secede and so on. But the problem is that NATO, in turn, threatens Bosnia and Herzegovina. You go down that path of secession, hey, remember what we did in the 90s? That's still an option. How do you see the path now in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
Yes, unfortunately, we all the time have only two opportunities. One is to agree on everything what NATO and US and EU wanted. And the second option is to have another destabilization, another war, so they're threatening all the time with this. And yes, as we all know, this doctrine of clash of civilization is the base of their policy everywhere, in the Balkans as well. So they have two main projects on the Balkans. One is independent Kosovo, and the second is unitarization of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So all the two projects, they are working on that. These projects are against the international law, but as we know, also the Western powers don't care about the international law when they don't need it. When they need it, of course, they are talking about the international law, but when they don't need, they ignore the international law, and they are doing what they want. So I think this moment, why they decided now, we speak about this, why they decided now to bring this so-called resolution of genocide, is that they want to finish these two projects on the Balkans. So Kosovo is practically close to be finished, and the second projects, they need to agree this and to improve that Republic of Srpska is so-called genocide republic, so it needs to be neutral, to be totally destroyed, and to be they need unitarization of Bosnia, who will control this Muslim population. So I know that it's very difficult for people to understand, and especially in these regions which are multicultural, multi-ethnical, multi-religious. But these regions are very good for these plans of clash of civilization, because they are all the time making the wars and then managing these conflicts, and in this management they always find how they can reach their goals. I mean, NATO, US, UN, we have these all Western powers which are involved. So this is, I think, also the reason is, if we look at the international field, that they are losing in Ukraine. It's obvious, and probably they need to destabilize some other regions around the Russian borders. So we have now the situation on Caucasus with Georgia, sorry, which is also very interesting, because in Georgia we have now American agents protesting against American law, because this FARA law against the foreign agents, it was basically American law. They bring this law before, as I remember, before the Second World War. And in Russia they bring the same law, I think, in 2012. So basically it's American law. But like they have double standards all the time. When they need this law for themselves, it's okay, but when they don't need the same law in Georgia, it's not okay.
But it's
And of course,
but it's I think that's right. But it's even worse than that, because if you look at these EU figures like Ursula von der Leyen, they spend their time about warning about the dangers of foreign interference in the European governments, foreign interference in European elections. We have to stamp out foreign interference. You know, there are Russian bots everywhere. So when it comes to Europe, we can't have foreign interference. When it comes to Georgia, how dare you raise the subject of foreign interference? Yeah. It's like foreign interference for thee, but not for me. So, but just going back to Bosnia and Herzegovina, you know, this is why I get worried, because it seems like NATO seems to want to provoke. They want to provoke the Serbs to do something, to secede, and that could be the trigger for NATO intervention. And this guy, Christian Schmidt, who is the EU High Representative for Bosnia and Herzegovina, he has threatened to arrest Dodik. Now, when somebody says, I'm going to arrest Dodik, he could do it. It's not beyond the realm of possibility. He's going to arrest Dodik, and that could trigger some kind of a reaction, which in turn could trigger NATO intervention. What do you think of that?
Yes, I think it's possible. I think it's possible because they can do whatever they want. We know it from the past. I can say that he's a legal representative because according to the Dayton Agreement, Russia should also support his him like a representative, but it didn't happen, so he's unlegal representative. Yeah. But they ignore this fact, and they are threatening now to Dodik, and Dodik is in a very difficult position. But I think there is also he's guilty because he supported this Kosovo policy of Vučić. And I don't know, maybe they think they can agree to give the Kosovo, but to have this Republic of Srpska joining the Serbia, but it's not possible to expect, because according to the international law, Kosovo is part of Serbia, and the Republic of Srpska is the part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. So you cannot accept that they will agree on the independent Kosovo at the same time have Republic of Srpska like a part of Serbia.
They will never do it. The Western powers never.
Of course.
There's no way they could ever agree.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's obvious, because they are not allowing us to have our territory, Kosovo, and of course they will not agree to just integrate the Republic of Srpska. So I think it's a very silly idea, but the problem is that Dodik supported this policy of Vučić for a long time, and now I think I knew it long time ago when they finished this independence Kosovo project. So they will focus on Bosnia and on the Republic of Srpska. So it's happening now, and Dodik is there in the very difficult situation. I'm not sure that he has enough political power to realize this. Integration with Serbia, or to organize some referendum in the Republic of Srpska, because yes, we have there in Bosnia a lot of structures. We have NATO there as well, like in the Kosovo. So they bring new also soldiers in Kosovo and Bosnia at the same time, and of course they will not allow this.
No, I think if Dodik decided to go down this path, first of all, he would be arrested. There would be no question, and I think NATO would move in. They would not allow any kind of a secession and to enhance the power of Serbia, because of course this enhances power of Serbia. There's no way in the world NATO will allow this, because NATO hates Serbia. I mean, to them, NATO just sees Serbia as kind of little Russia in the Balkans. I mean, they tried to destroy this little Russia in the Balkans back in the 90s. It's an unfinished job. But and so they're not going to allow a bigger, stronger. So so what's your take? What do you think is going to happen in Bosnia and Herzegovina?
So we will see at all what will happen, because we can expect also the Third World War, because this situation with Ukraine, it's getting more and more dangerous, because NATO is sending more and more soldiers there and weapons as well. And on the other hand, they are working on the stabilizations on other regions, in our other regions, like we said, Caucasus, Balkans as well. So we can not be sure what we can expect, because we are now in a very dynamic period. And the problem is that the Western powers, knowing that they are losing the game, they are ready for everything. Like, they wondered some beast or something which knows that the end is close. And the problem is that they are weak, but not weak enough that we can be relaxed and saying, oh, okay, it will finish by agree on peace or something. So we will see, because also we are expecting these elections in US. It depends a lot on this, what will happen in the US in the October or November. And of course, Brussels is very not independent. It's very dependent on US. It means that it will also, these elections will influence on situation or position of Brussels. Also, we have these elections for European Union Parliament in June. And there are rumors that these Eurosceptic structures are stronger. So also it will it is very dependent what will happen in Europe, in European Parliament. But Serbia, I think, and Bosnia and Herzegovina, Dodik, maybe it's looked like we are surrounded by NATO. We don't have any opportunity, only we need to go on this European integration road, and there is no other opportunity. I think it's not like that, because now it's we are literally already in this multipolar world, and there are the opportunities, but we need to fight for our positions. We cannot just sit and wait and maybe counting, oh, okay, Russia will come and help us and save us. No one will help us. If we don't fight for our future, no one other will fight for us.
Yeah, I have to say that the Serbia's position is not at all good, because it's surrounded by NATO. And ultimately, if there is another confrontation with NATO, the outcome will be the same as it was in the 90s, because Russia can't do anything to help. I mean, for Russia to help Serbia, it would have to cross NATO airspace. Essentially, Russia would have to go to war with NATO in order to help Serbia. It can't do it. So essentially, Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina are as much on their own as they were back in the 90s in any confrontation with NATO.
We have also a very difficult situation in all European countries, considering the security situation in Germany, in France, also economical situation is not good at all. And I think these European countries are weakening more and more. So it's also question what will happen with the European Union in the future. So it's difficult to understand understand now, because it's not good situation in the European countries as well. And we are all the time, we have this initiative from the Russia and the China as well. They want to speak about the security, but not security of one region, but security of whole the global world. Yeah. So I think it's the future. We will need to find some agreement on this. And we have now two concepts. One concept is the clash of civilization, is this deep state concept or global concept of Western powers. And the second concept is this development of civilization by, I mean, they want to respect other interests of other countries, the culture and everything, history. And we have now some other opportunities and chances. And I think the future is in this. I don't see that it's possible to keep what was before, this monopolar world. And yes, I mean, the European countries should also think about this, how they could integrate in this new system. Because this whole system is based on this economical, financial American system, and now this system is getting weak and weak. So,
well, we'll see whether it's getting weak. I don't know. As we've talked earlier about how the situation with Serbia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, it's not particularly favorable outlook. I mean, China has its own issues, and I don't think. I think it's somewhat delusional to think that China is kind of creating this new order. I mean, it may do, but that's a long way down the road. I mean, at the moment, we're still in the situation where NATO and the EU are calling the shots in Europe. We'll see what happens in Ukraine, but that's as you rightly pointed out, that's a lot of unknowns there, and NATO's doubling down. NATO is not going to admit defeat in Ukraine. They're not going to admit defeat. Anyway.
Yes, but we need to understand we are watching this situation from Europe, yes. But if you go on to visit Central Asia, for the example, or Brazil or African countries, you will have totally different view, because they don't think about Europe at all. They don't care about what is happening in Europe. They are already on this road to integration in some new multipolar world, and they are not talking about a lot about Ukraine or so. I think in this new multipolar world, Europe, if she don't think about the future, maybe we will become the periphery in the future. We are losing our positions because other countries are integrating. I mean, in this BRICS format, or they're working. There are a lot of meetings, conferences, agreements, and so on. So they are working together, and this is a fact. And if we from the Europe are watching and saying, "Oh, it's a long story. We don't know what will happen," but something is happening while we are sitting and thinking, okay, so this is the problem. I think also we need to not think like just in this pro-Western way. It's obvious that all Europe is under control of US, but now it's not the future. It's not like we will stay the satellite of US and everything will stay like it was before.
It's a nice idea. It's the problem is that, like, if you talk about Central Asia, it's the U.S. influence is growing in Central Asia. I mean, U.S. is now, if you look at Central Asia, in the Caucasus, Russian influence is diminished. Maybe it's a short-term thing, maybe it's a consequence of the Ukraine war, but you can see Russian influence is in decline. So we'll see what happens. But I think it's a little premature to start thinking, oh, well, hey, we've got a new multipolar world and the days of US hegemony are over. It would be a nice idea. I'd love it, but I think we just got to, cool our enthusiasm a little bit.
No, I will add just this at the end, and we have some virtual world. I mean, if you read the new newspaper, if you are researching what is happening in the government, this is one picture. But I'm traveling a lot. I recently visited Kyrgyzia, for the example, also Lebanon. I'm traveling in Middle East and in African countries, Central Asia. So when you are there, you have totally different picture of what is happening. Why? Because the main weapon of the West is the mainstream media, and also these structures which they control, political structures, intellectual structures, economical institutions, and so on. But if you speak with the people, and if you are knowing what is happening in the public world and so on, it's a totally different picture. So this is something we need to know as well.
All right, Dragana Trifković, thank you so much for giving us your time and all of your insights. Really, very much enjoyed it. And please come back again very soon. And so,
thank you very much.
Okay, remember, if you like the Gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.